Welcome to the Bunkhouse. I'm Josh Crumpton, and this is the Guide's Guide to Gear, Dove Edition.
Here we test the gear that makes it possible to do the things in the wild spaces, figuring out what propels our outdoor experiences and culture. For the learner and the pro, through the rain, the sun, and the grit, we take a look at the good, the resilient, and the gnarly. We break it all down and shoot it to you straight, so that you may find success in the field. This is a Guide's Guide to Gear.
That's a lot of work. We're going to be talking about dove hunting. We're going to be talking about the gear and the things that I take into the dove field. Some of the things that I recommend you take into the dove field. We're going to be looking into my bucket. We're going to look in my bucket. I use a Yeti bucket to carry my gear into the field because it works as a seat as well. So let's get started. First thing that goes into my bucket is ammo, shotgun shells. I shoot 7.5s. I take 3 boxes. Not that I'm going to use all 3 boxes. I only need 15 shells, clearly. But, I like to bring extra shells because you never know, you run into somebody, they need shells. I shoot 20 gauge or 28 gauge. And these guys, in order to keep them organized in the bucket, I stack them on top of each other 3 at a time. Just like so. Next thing that's really important for me is some squeeze bottles, some water bottles. These are for my dogs. I bring my dogs out into the field with me. This is how I give them their water. It's always hot at the beginning of dove season, so make sure you bring plenty of water for your dogs. This is not enough for a full hunt, so I always have extra in the car or in a soft side cooler that I bring with me, and I refill these from a soft side cooler that I keep my ice and things in. So these go into the bucket, just like so. Celebratory cigar. I like to smoke cigars. I like to have one after. Smoking is bad for you. Probably shouldn't do it, but I enjoy it, so these go in my bucket. Next thing that I bring out with me is my Mojos. And while I'm doing this, you'll notice I use bags. I put bags inside the bucket. It helps with organization. I also label the outside of the bags with the things that go in them. That helps me with my checklist as I'm going through the season. So, my Mojo bag gets the steak for the Mojo. The Mojo wings, I bring 3 of these guys out with me because, one of these always gets lost, one of them gets shot. I just like to have extra wings, and then sometimes you get out there and somebody doesn't have a wing, and I'm like, hey, I've got an extra one for you. So those go in. The body of the Mojo Dove goes into the bag as well. Extra batteries, and then the battery bank for the Dove. And you'll notice that I keep this unconnected from the Dove. What I found in the past is when you're traveling with the Mojo, if this is connected to the Dove, sometimes it jostles around in there and it can rip out the battery connection wires. Though those are easy to fix at home, fixing them in the field is really tough. So just keep this unconnected. I highly advise that. Zips up and goes into the bucket, standing upright like that. That kind of is how you wind up getting everything in there. Next set of stuff that's really important for me and everyone when you're hunting in the field is eye protection. You're going to want this. You're always going to want to have eye protection on. I like to wear a yellow lens, a shooting lens, sometimes a clear lens. But listen, when you're out there, sometimes there's going to be shot that's going to rain down on you, and you're going to get peppered. You might look up. You definitely want to protect your eyes. You don't want to lose your peepers. You only get 2. You're not getting 2 more. So wear some sunglasses, wear some shooting glasses. Make sure those go into your kit. I like to put them in a case to protect them inside the bag. Next thing, super important, is ear protection. I use these Sound Gear custom molded Phantoms. They're awesome. They're Bluetooth. They have noise cancellation to them. What I really dig about these is that they amplify everything around me, so I still have my hearing. But then when a decibel goes off, like someone shoots and it's above a certain sound level, that cuts it off and protects my ears. So these are pretty penny, but they are so worth it. These guys do an awesome job with this. I also carry extra ear protection. I carry some just little plastics or some foamies in case something goes wrong with my sound gears or I lose them, which is just miserable when that happens. It's only happened once, but I was really bummed about it. So this ear protection I have, and also if there's a friend out there who doesn't have ear protection and needs it, I have a couple around, and so I can always give those to them. So that goes in. Next two things are bottle opener. I don't usually take bottles out into the field with me. I try to stick with cans. Glass can break. But I take this anyways, and maybe back at the car I might have, like, you know, a bottle of wine. I may have a little glass of wine while I'm decompressing with my cigar, so I bring that along. And then a pocket knife. This is the Henry by Wesson. I dig this little knife, but I always have a pocket knife in my kit. All my kits, honestly. That goes in the bag. And this bag goes into the bucket. Like so. So the next essentials kit is what I consider personal care, nutrition, and that kit, that little bag has, in fact, this bag goes in my duck hunting bag, it goes in my deer, it goes in my upland. This is just an all around, sometimes I just have this in the car with me. This is a great little kit. So water filtration, maybe not use it in the dove field, but it's always in the kit. These things are great. They're light. They break down small. You fill them up. They got a little water filter in them, and they squeeze. Totally recommend these. My backup protein sort of little food source pick-me-up is like some peanut butter packets. Super easy. Stash those in here. My preferred nutrition source, some Bar You Eat. Love those guys. Love these things. Always in there. Electrolytes. I put some electrolytes in here in case I'm feeling the bonk midday. It's hot during dove season. Hunting in general can exert and dehydrate you. So put some hydration packs in there. I usually have more than one, but always at least one. And then I bring a little bit of high calorie gel for the dogs. Like, this is fantastic stuff. Your dogs are running, they're working hard out there. They can hit a hypoglycemic moment. That can be a really scary thing. Your dog can go into seizures. You have to get out a bite bit. And having this on hand, you can just sort of squeeze that into their mouth and try to help recover them from a hypoglycemic moment. Also, if I notice that my dog is exerting a lot of energy throughout the day, I'll just give them a little bit of this just to keep the blood sugar up. That goes in. And finally, two things of personal care. I put a little hand sanitizer in the bag. And then I like these Porta wipes. There's like 10 of them in a thing. They're little like compressed, sort of like dehydrated toilet paper. So if nature calls while you're out in nature, it's nice to have these little guys along. All that goes into this little personal nutrition kit, and that kit goes into the bucket. Next up is my dove cleaning kit. This thing's small, but is critical for keeping your game in good shape out of the field. Foundation of that, some trash bags. I always clean my dove before I leave the field. And so having some trash bags gives me a place to put the parts and the feathers and things like that so I don't leave a mess behind. Also a spot to put my holes. You want to make sure you pick up your empties, pick up your holes. We want to leave places a lot cleaner than we found them. Gloves. I put some gloves in there. These gloves are critical because, you know, even though I've got sanitizer, you really can't guarantee that you're going to get your hands all the way clean. This way, you're completely protecting the meat. And, you know, this is stuff that you're going to feed to your friends and family, your loved ones. You want to make sure you take every step to not contaminate the meat. Shears. I like these Leatherman shears. They're great. They're compact. They fold up and then they fold back together. They go into this sheath. They've got a little belt hook if you want to hook them on a belt or a bag. I use them in the upland field. I use them when cleaning dove. They're great for removing legs and wings, that sort of thing. those go in. And then Ziploc baggies. I use these in 2 ways. So it's really important to get your dove cooling as quickly as possible after you shoot it. So when a dove is retrieved, when a dove comes back into me, my dog picks it up and brings it over, I immediately slip it into a Ziploc baggie and I put it on the ice in the soft side cooler that's next to me. That really is going to help your game meat taste better, and it's really going to be honoring and taking the best care of the meat. I know a lot of guys use the bird straps and they hang them on the fence, but you know what? You're just kind of cooking that meat that way. You might as well just start cooling it right from the beginning. And then before you leave the field, what you're going to want to do is go ahead and get the guts out and get the feathers off those birds, because getting the guts and the feathers, getting the guts out and the feathers off the bird is going to really, really, really make sure that you maintain the highest quality taste and texture of your dove. So all of that goes into the bucket. We're down to the final few items here. This little kit includes the controller for my dog, GPS, an e-controller, a collar, a check cord. You never know when you're going to need to put your dog on a check cord. Anytime I take a dog out hunting or anywhere really, I've got a check cord on hand, because you may need to put that dog under control for whatever reason that happens out in the field. Having this handy, you'll be glad you have it if you ever really, really need it. And this little guy, this is one that I don't see a lot of people carrying, but this little bolt cutter, this wire cutter, this thing is amazing. So a lot of times when you're hunting for dove, you're near barbed wire fences, you're near fence lines, you're near those type of places. That's where dove like to move a lot of the time. And if your dog, you know, heaven forbid, ever runs into a barbed wire fence and gets caught up in it, this little thing right here, having it close by and being able to just snip and get that dog out of there, then be able to get it on a check cord and start to address, you know, any of the deeper wounds, you'll be really happy that you have this thing. So that goes in the bag. And this bag goes right on the top of the bucket. I like this strap. These like shotgun straps are fantastic. If you're shooting a gun that doesn't have one built in, like I shoot side-by-sides over unders a lot, and those double guns don't necessarily have a sling to them. This sling is a sling that I can really quickly put on the gun, throw the gun over my shoulder. Now I've got the gun shouldered. On one hand, I've got my bucket with all my gear. In the other one, or on another sling, I've got sort of my soft side cooler. And if I put the soft side cooler on a sling, then I have a free hand. So that goes in the bucket. And then finally, I like to wear a buff or bring a bandana of some sort. It's sort of like hot out there, and I like this fancy Spokala one that we made. It's really cool. I use this a lot of times. If it's too hot, I'll get it wet. I'll put it around my neck. If the dogs are getting hot, sometimes I can get this wet and I can start to cool them off by applying it to their paws. You know, if you get a dog that's overheated, you definitely want to apply moisture to their paws and to their ears. That's the quickest way to cool them down. Having a little bandana that like sits right on top of the whole thing here is fantastic. I put the lid on top. That lid can then be my seat. And, you know, that is the basic principles of the things you need and how I pack them to go into the field. Now, with that said, don't feel like you need to go out and get all this gear to go dove hunting this season or any season. All you really need to go dove hunting is a shotgun, borrow one, buy an inexpensive one, whatever. Some ammo, some camo, because dove can see color, so you definitely want to make sure that you've got a little bit of camo going on. And then you're gonna need some eye and some ear protection. Those are the essentials. Oh, and a license, of course. You gotta get your license. And make sure you do the HIP certification on the license, and you get the migratory bird on it. That's all you need, guys, and thanks for watching this Guide's Guide to Gear. Till next time. Cheers.